We're at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. First game of the playoffs. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Philadelphia Eagles. The Bucs are 0-20 when the temperature is 40 degrees or colder at game time. Good news for Tampa Bay. It is a balmy 46 in Philadelphia. Just moments ago, Warren Sapp having a little fun with the Eagles fans. Take a look at this.
You notice he's not getting real close, don't you?
He's a gunfighter. He's looking at sundown.
Nobody else like him.
Well, I'll tell you, I love the guy. You know, he's just nice to be around.
You know what? He's so great for the game. He loves the game. He has a purpose in it. He has a singular purpose to be the best that he can be, and he's not afraid to speak his mind.
Andy Reid, who has his team ahead of schedule. Hugh Douglas waiting for an opportunity. The Eagles will get the football. Keyshawn Johnson after that great regular season. All-Pro John Lynch. The Bucs are loaded with him. Brian Mitchell deep with Damian Douglas as the Eagles will get the ball. Mitchell with 12 kick returns in his career for touchdowns. 4th in the league this year in kickoff returns. Gramatica to kick. We are underway in Philadelphia. Mitchell from the 8 to the 36. Let's take a look at the Eagles' offensive lineup.
Donovan McNabb, Syracuse University.
Deuce Staley, University of South Carolina.
Cecil Martin, University of Wisconsin.
James Thrash, Missouri Southern.
Todd Pinkston, University of Southern Mississippi.
Chad Lewis, BYU. Trey Thomas, Florida State.
John Wellborn, Cal.
Hank Fraley, Robert Morris College.
Jermaine Mayberry, Texas A&M Kingsville.
John Runyon, University of Michigan.
The Eagles will open with 3 wide receivers, and Deuce Staley is the setback. McNabb under pressure. Got away. And throws on the run incomplete. They nearly had the sack of McNabb. Anthony McFarland holding on for dear life, but he couldn't hold him.
You know, we talked about this defensive line coming after him and how to get McNabb is tackle him in the backfield. That's Anthony McFarland on the ground. He had to let go. It just shows you the strength of Donovan McNabb.
But watch his eyes. Look at Donovan McNabb. He never takes his eyes off downfield. He's continuing to look for a receiver.
2nd and 10 from the Eagles from their own 35. Deuce Staley to the 37. Here are the Buccaneers.
Test of strength.
McFarland, LSU.
Warren Sapp, University of Miami Hurricanes.
Simeon Rice, University of Illinois.
Sheldon Quarles, Vanderbilt University.
Jamie Duncan, Vanderbilt University.
Derek Brooks, Florida State University.
Brian Kelly, University of Southern California.
Rondé Barber, University of Virginia.
John Lynch, Stanford University.
Dexter Jackson, Florida State University.
The Eagles with the 3rd and 9, and Donovan McNabb has to use a timeout. We're just underway at the Vet in Philadelphia. No score, the Bucs and the Eagles. And the Eagles with a 3rd and 9 on their opening possession. McNabb throws, and it's picked off by Dexter Jackson. Dexter Jackson on the misfire from McNabb.
Now there's a case where Donovan McNabb just sets in the pocket into the zone and just really misfires. Doesn't throw a lot of interceptions. He sets up fine. Protection is good. Little hesitation. Looks like Chad Lewis tries to make the move outside, but he fell down. Last week, 2 weeks ago against the Giants, James Thrash had problems with the footing on this field. It will get icy as the night goes on.
First break of the ball game goes to Tampa Bay. Warrick Dunn lowers his shoulder and picks up a couple. The Bucks have always been great at turning the ball over against the other team. They were second in the league this year in interceptions. They start this game just the same way.
Well, that's what Tony Dungy said to Susie. We got to try to get this crowd out of this game early, and that's the best way you can do it.
Johnson swings it to Dunn. And Warrick Dunn to the 32. Here's the Bucks starting offense.
Brad Johnson, Florida State University.
Warrick Dunn, Florida State.
Mike Allstott, Purdue.
Keyshawn Johnson, Real USC.
Jacquez Green, University of Florida.
Dave Moore, University of Pittsburgh.
Kenyatta Walker, University of Florida. Randall McDaniel, Arizona State.
Jeff Christie, Pitt.
Cozy Coleman, University of Tennessee.
Jerry Wunsch, University of Wisconsin.
The Bucks facing their first third down of the game in Eagle territory. Four-man rush. Johnson to Dave Moore, the tight end, first down, and Moore out of bounds at the 20-yard line.
I tell you what, Keyshawn Johnson draws a crowd. Keyshawn Johnson goes in, does a little hookup, and what that does is it allows the tight end Dave Moore to get to the outside. Look at Keyshawn. Now watch him. He'll come in and he'll sit right there and move the outside. There's two guys on him. And when that happens, look at Moore coming out to the outside. The tight end, he's by himself.
They weren't sure Dave Moore would be ready to play. There was a question right up until game time.
Allstott now in the backfield with Jameel Cook as a blocker. The 250-pound fullback.
Hey, someone!
Take a look at the Eagles' defense.
Brandon Whiting, University of California.
Corey Simon, Florida State University.
Paul Grassmanis, University of Notre Dame.
Hugh Douglas, Central State University.
Mike Caldwell, Middle Tennessee State University. Jeremiah Trotter, Stephen F. Austin State University.
Carlos Emmons, Arkansas State University.
Troy Vincent, University of Wisconsin.
Bobby Taylor, University of Notre Dame. Damon Moore, Ohio State University. Ryan Dawkins, Clemson University.
Two tight ends set. Allstott tripped as he got to the line of scrimmage and fell forward. Allstott rushed for 680 yards this year, had his best games down the stretch. And if he's not tripped up at the line of scrimmage, he gets ahead of steam. That's the one thing that secondary does not want to see.
And that's the one thing that the defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles wants to do. They want to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. As long as they can get into penetration and force Mike Allstott to change direction, they'll have a chance at being able to contain him.
They're missing one of their best run stoppers. Hollis Thomas injured a couple of weeks ago. Dunn is in on third down. They'll spread the field. And Johnson throws wide of Warrick Dunn. Excellent defense by Jeremiah Trotter, the middle linebacker. He was out on the safety valve.
I'll tell you what happened is the linebackers that were blitzing, these guys had the screen down. They knew the screen was coming, and Brad Johnson didn't have a chance to throw it.
Martin Gramatica, who had missed a couple of games suffering from a hamstring, will come on to try a 36-yard field goal.
Perfect from this distance so far this year, 9 out of 9 during the regular season.
Pro Bowler a season ago. And Gramatica right down the middle. So the Bucks take advantage of the early interception with a 36-yard field goal. They lead it 3-0. Dexter Jackson, who had 4 interceptions during the regular season, sets up a 21-yard scoring drive, paid off with a Gramatica field goal. 3-0 Buccaneers.
Well, a year ago, the score here was 3-0 Buccaneers, and they lost 21-3.
Ooh, here you go with that omen stuff.
A lot of stuff repeats in this series, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Mitchell and Douglas again deep. Short kickoff. Douglas on the run to the 35.
There's some key matchups in this game you have to keep an eye on. Obviously, Donovan McNabb and Warren Sapp. It's his job, Sapp's, to keep him in the pocket. He can hurt you outside. Trey Thomas and Simeon Rice. Simeon Rice has played against him a lot. He was in Arizona. They're not unfamiliar with one another. He's got to bring pressure inside on Brad Johnson. And Chad Lewis and John Lynch. We saw Lewis fall. It's Lynch that he's got to account for in the running game. He is the guy that comes in, and he's their plugger.
There's Lynch, the All-Pro. Correll Buckhalter and Jamie Reeder in the backfield for the Eagles. And Buckhalter will get his first carry stuffed at the line of scrimmage.
The Eagles really can't afford not to get yards on 1st and 10. We talk about how much the Eagles like to blitz on defense. Tampa Bay will throw all kinds of different looks at you. And as long as they can use up that front four, they can use the pressure of that front four, they don't need to blitz, which makes it very difficult to throw the ball down the field for Andy Reid's offense.
Reid, 3rd season, 2nd playoff. They'll whistle this play dead.
Prior to the snap, false start offense, number 22. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
That's Deuce Staley, who they put out as a wide receiver.
That's the distinct difference between these two football teams. They're both excellent defensive teams, but on the Tampa Bay side, as Joe said, all they want to do is get it done with the front four. Let these guys do all the work so they never have to blitz, and the linebackers can play in coverage and then make the tackles. On the other side, the Philadelphia Eagles, as we said before, they put 30 blitzes in for this game.
Buckhalter and Staley again in together. Staley goes out as a wide receiver. Buckhalter will get it on the delay. Correll Buckhalter to the 39-yard line. Shelton Quarles and Dexter Jackson on the tackle. Buckhalter backing up Deuce Staley this year.
And the big thing there, Michael, is that you look at the average, 4.5 yards a carry, 586 yards. Deuce Staley still wearing a harness for a shoulder problem that he has. He only gained 604 yards and only averaged 3.6 yards a carry. If they want to use a power back, Buckhalter's the guy in this game.
3rd and 5. McNabb will scramble. This is what they didn't want. Look at the speed. Donovan McNabb and a flag at the end of the play for a late hit.
That'll be 15 more. Boy, I'll tell you what, you know, Warren Sapp said, cannot let this guy out. Now, I'm not talking about going wide out of the pocket. I'm talking about stepping up. And on that time there, Donovan McNabb did not even hesitate, Joseph.
Well, that's the whole thing. He's so much more effective when he makes quick decisions, and we've seen that later in the year. And then when he gets outside running, he's as good as any running back. He's fast, he's powerful. And when you have linebackers locked up on backs one-on-one, there's nobody in the area to stop him.
And it looks like the officials are having a discussion about the late hit call.
Personal foul on the defense, number 34, for a late hit on the quarterback out of bounds. Will go half the distance to the goal. 1st down.
Dexter Jackson is trying to pursue Donovan McNabb. There he is now. That's called a late hit.
That's a bad call.
It looks like he's throwing himself on the playing field, and Donovan was angled that way. But
the thing about it is, what's wrong is that Donovan McNabb is a runner, and they know that he can run with the football. And this guy's not even out of bounds yet, and he's being hit. That's a terrible call.
Absolutely, Paul.
39-yard run, the penalty on top of it. 1st down, Eagles. Staley. Fans cheering Deuce, and he barely got back to the line of scrimmage.
They almost missed the exchange here. And the one thing about Deuce Staley as a running back, because of the harness he wears, you can see it hanging down off of his right shoulder a little bit. They almost muffed his hand off. He doesn't really have control. It's bobbled. And now he's got to try and get it to his left arm. That's where he feels most confident.
2nd and 10. Staley on the season, over 600 yards. Only 3.6 a carry. And there's movement up front to left tackle Trey Thomas.
Personally, from a quarterback's perspective,
False start offense, number 76, 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
when you get a team that has momentum going, I'm not big on calling long counts or hard counts. Keep the momentum going for your offense. Don't get up there and try and get cute. You don't have to audible a lot. You have to look around. Keep the momentum moving for your team.
The thing about it is, if you look at Donovan McNabb right now in the huddle, he's trying to get plays in. He wants them faster. They're not getting them to him fast enough.
McNabb in the red zone this year, 19 touchdown passes, only 2 interceptions. Scrambles again. A great move to get away, and then McNabb forced out of bounds inside the 10.
He's a horse. He is just a big horse. They can't get a hold of him. Jamie Duncan, 240-pound linebacker, gets his hands on him and can't touch him. Donovan McNabb very careful down in the red area, decides he wants to run. Now, there's the move. Whoa. Hello.
I'm sorry, but that is embarrassing.
And Derek Brooks can't bring him down. What a great move. Jamie couldn't keep up with him, and Derek still can't get him on the ground.
That's one of the things you sacrifice on, Michael. When you start blitzing, you've got some people staying covered in the secondary, or he can run.
Leaves a lot of holes. 3rd and 9. McNabb under pressure. Throws. That'll only gain about a yard as they got it to Chad Lewis, but he was losing his footing as he went down, and now the Eagles have to go for the tie instead of the lead.
I believe that Tampa Bay's defense has Donovan McNabb confused to a large degree. The only big play they've managed to get is the run by him. As far as dropping back and throwing the football, Donovan really hasn't found anybody open.
David Akers will try from 26. The Pro Bowl kicker. Just got inside that left upright. First quarter, 3-3 from the vet. Coming up next, Wild Card Saturday continues on ABC. Curtis Martin and the Jets go to Oakland for round 2 against the Raiders. Rich Gannon, Jerry Rice and company trying to send Gang Green packing for good. The 2002 NFL Playoffs, Game 2, right here next on ABC.
Gang Green.
Gang Green.
Al, Dan, and Dennis got a good one there.
Aaron Stecker, the deep man for the Buccaneers. From the 3. Tripped up, reaches the 24. Let's go to the sideline. Susie Colbert.
Well, Mike, earlier Joe talked about concern about this turf. Well, I talked to Keyshawn Johnson before the game, and he said he rather likes it. He's wearing a cleat with just a little bit extra rubber sole made for wet turf. He said it'll actually make him faster, which is a good thing, because apparently Eagles cornerback Al Harris said he doesn't have anything to worry about because Keyshawn can't run by him. Of course, Keyshawn's reply, what about the 3 Pro Bowls? Clyde Christensen also told me they'll use him more in the slot so they can control the double team. Bottom line, other receivers have to step up.
Susie, the first 1,000-yard receivers for the Bucs since Mark Terrier. Dunn out in the flat. Warrick Dunn, who did not play last week, bothered by a turf toe, hurt a lot of the year. He is still a big weapon for this club.
Warrick Dunn, for years, has gotten knocked because of his size, 5'9", 180 pounds. Everybody says, well, you know, he'd be a good 3rd down back. I don't agree with that at all. I think that he's the kind of guy who can touch the ball 20, 25 times a game and be effective for an entire season.
He proved it last year when Mike Allstott was hurt. He's an excellent inside runner in spite of his size. Now Allstott's turn. Across the 30 to the 31. They need to reach the 34.
Well, they knew this was the guy that they had to stop today, Mike Allstott. Mike Allstott always runs with his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. Even if he's going to make a cut, he makes a cut sideways, and he keeps his shoulders square. Look at Allstott. Look at his eyes. Watch his shoulders. They're always square to the line of scrimmage. Even when he turns into the hole, going from left to right or right to left, they still stay square, and that's what makes them so effective.
Brad Johnson, they've got him inside the 25.
Hugh Douglas.
Douglas, who had 9.5 sacks in the regular season and is on his way to another Pro Bowl, gets the sack.
I said Hugh Douglas will be able to get him and smack him in the mouth because of one thing. They got a blitz coming. He's getting tackled at the line of scrimmage by Kenyatta Walker.
I don't believe that Hugh Douglas is a type of pass rusher you can leave Kenyatta Walker, a rookie, alone on. They're going to have to put Dave Moore, the tight end, next to him to help him out.
Mark Broyles to punt. Beautiful high kick for Mitchell to 31. Brian Mitchell back across the 40. The mark is down on the play. A return of 10 after a punt of 45. Let's check the penalty.
Holding on the kicking team during the kick. That penalty will be enforced 10 yards from the end of the kick. First down, Philadelphia.
So the Eagles will have excellent field position. The Eagles defense knows it's up to them today. .4:14 to go first quarter. Bucks and the Eagles tied at 3. The penalty miscalled by Larry Nemmers. They will mark it off against the Eagles all the way back to the 21. Donovan McNabb's numbers on the year: 25 touchdowns, only 12 picks, and that rating 7th in the National Football League. Staley back in there with Reader as a blocker in front of him. Play action, blitz coming on McNabb. Tries to get it to Thrash, but he was blanketed by Donnie Abraham.
They got to Donovan in the pocket that time, but they have not been able to contain him running the football. Here he is, Anthony McFarland, holding on for dear life. He escapes and gets rid of the ball. Now takes off on this long jaunt that gives the Eagles the opportunity for the field goal once in the red area. Jamie Duncan can't bring him down, and Derek Brooks has to run him out of bounds. It's his legs that'll be a difference in this game for the Eagles. I don't believe the Eagles will run the football effectively with the other backs.
Joe, 1 yard passing, 46 rushing for Donovan McNabb so far. This time he's got his tight end Chad Lewis. We asked Tony Dungy how he planned to defend a player of McNabb's caliber.
In a lot of situations, he kind of is like Michael Jordan, where he's trying to get everybody involved. But in the critical times, you know, he takes over the game. And that's what we've got to try to eliminate, not let him be the big playmaker on those critical downs.
And he was the playmaker on the last one, hitting Lewis for the first down.
Well, the referee never called first down in Tampa Bay. So wait a minute, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's measure it. Bring the chains out. Let's take a look at this thing.
Donovan says, look, you said it was first down. Just give it to us.
If it's where that marker really is, then it's not a first down because they had to get to the 31-yard line.
All right, Paul, this is your specialty.
Well, you know, my eyes
playoffs, your first
my eyes aren't as young as they used to be.
This is your
Come on, baby. Be right one time. Be right, Paulie. You're wrong, you dummy.
You're not a dummy. You're entitled to one error through the course of a year. But don't let it happen again.
Well, Sapp's the cause of that. He called for the measurement.
Yeah, but he got the one in August.
That's right. That's true. That's not too far away, is it?
No.
Staley, and he is buried. Simeon Rice, the first guy to wrap him up, and then got a lot of help.
You know, just that last play, that was all Warren Sapp. All Warren Sapp. Even though Simeon Rice makes a play, it was all Warren Sapp. Simeon Rice is going to benefit from the penetration of Sapp to make the ball carrier cut back into him. Here comes Sapp. Look at this. He forces him back inside. Number 99 is Sapp. He didn't make the play, but he set it up.
2nd and 11 for the Eagles. Staley on the toss. Let's the old student body right toss sweep.
The way I think the Eagles will be able to run the football with their backs, if they're able to do it, will probably be with a 2 tight end formation. You want to anchor down both sides, and it neutralizes John Lynch a little bit, so he can't figure out which way you're going to run. He's the guy that's going to come up and force the stopping the runs.
Eagles face a 3rd and 4 from their own 37. And they'll go with a 4 wide receiver formation. Empty backfield. 4-man rush. Pressure on McNabb and Simeon Rice from behind.
Boy, he just beat Trey Thomas. He beat Trey Thomas. He just ran around him.
Simeon Rice and Donovan McNabb were high school teammates. Now he's got no respect for the kid, the young kid that played quarterback at his high school.
His teammates said that for Simeon Rice, it was a steep learning curve coming into this system, but he got it late in the year, had 11 sacks during the regular season. Carl Williams waits for the punt of Sean Landetto, who's had another brilliant year as the punter. Williams had a seam, got a big block, and got it back to the 35-yard line. 12-yard return, almost a lot more after a punt of 47. We're still tied at 3 from Philly. Next Saturday, ABC's coverage of the 2002 PGA Tour gets underway. Phil Mickelson, Justin Leonard, David Toms among those competing in the Bob Hope Chrysler Classic. Coverage starts Saturday live at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ABC. Bucks take over at their own 35-yard line in the 3-3 ball game. Warrick Dunn dances for a few, then gets to the 40 gang tackle. Let's go to Susie Crawl.
Mike, you saw that Rice sack in the last series. Well, Simeon admits that this is tough tonight because he looks at McNabb as his little brother. They grew up together in the same town. They're 2 years apart in the same high school. He said they never met in a game of this magnitude. 14 months ago, when Rice was still playing for Arizona, he took Donovan down 3 times. Tonight, he promises lots of trash talk. And he said to him last week, Simmy said, we're going to kick your butt tonight.
Well, Susie, we've seen brothers do worse to each other. Dunn. About a yard shy of a first down.
And this offense for Tampa Bay has had to go through a transformation. Early in the year, they wanted to feature Warrick Dunn as their running back. Came off at a 1,000-plus yard season last year. First game against Dallas, he hurts his toe on his right foot. So Clyde Christensen had to revamp the offense and focus it more towards Mike Allstott. They went from an outside running team to more of a power downhill team, and it served them well late in the season.
3rd and a yard. Dunn remains in the ballgame, and he'll get the toss. Nowhere to go outside, so they try to cross him up on 3rd and short with the toss, and Troy Vincent up from the corner to make the play, along with Jeremiah Trotter, the middle linebacker.
And Troy Vincent just proves why he's an all-pro corner.
Here in Philadelphia, playoff atmosphere. The Eagles and the Bucks tied at 3 after a quarter. Ready to start the second quarter from the vet, Tampa Bay and Philadelphia Royals to kick to Mitchell. A lot of room to run on a low-line drive. But Mitchell tripped up as he just got past the 25. First quarter numbers, what you might expect from two defensive teams like this. The Eagles with 67 yards, but 39 came on the one run by Donovan McNabb.
Well, you're talking about defenses in Tampa Bay. They've only allowed this entire year 33 points in the first quarter.
Well,
how good is that?
So far in this game, they've given up no yards on 1st and 10. That's why they're in the playoffs, because their defense took over the month of December.
4 Pro Bowlers on this defensive unit for the Bucs. Pinkston out in the flat, hurled out of bounds.
Pinkston, Paul Pinkston, Freddie Mitchell, James Thrash comes over. This wide receiving core has a lot of potential, but it's very, very young. Remember the game we did with Dallas? Pinkston made some great catches. He's a big guy at 6'2", but he's only 170 pounds.
2nd and 4 for the Eagles. McNabb, short set, goes out in the flat. This time it's Thrash, and he's out of bounds. Let's go to the sideline for Susie. More on Donovan McNabb.
Talk about coming of age for a quarterback. McNabb has done it in dramatic fashion. Has a knack of rising to the occasion in the most clutch situations like Week 16. He orchestrated 2 fourth-quarter drives to beat the Giants and win the NFC East. Chad Lewis pointed out his ability to handle pressure in a game of that magnitude and his pinpoint accuracy.
He was absolutely brilliant in that ball game, Susie, against the Giants, and really earned a lot more respect from his teammates. McNabb, now he'll run, throws and complete to Pinkston. Pinkston to the 20, to the 17.
Paul,
a gain of 43.
Trey Thomas, we saw him get beat by Simeon Rice before in the first quarter. Watch Trey Thomas now on Simeon Rice. 72 on 97. Look at this. He backpedals a little bit, but he still keeps Simeon Rice in front of him. He keeps control.
Donovan McNabb just buys so much time. And again, I can't emphasize enough how he keeps his eyes focused down the field. He doesn't look to run. He looks to throw.
Staley got to the 16.
One of the things that people talk about Donovan McNabb having to work on is his pocket presence, his ability to work and throw just from the pocket. I'm impressed with the fact, as young as he is, and he's been so successful, we lose sight of that. It's an area where you see him improve through the course of the year. That time, he didn't flush himself out to either side. He stayed there, allowed his line, and has stepped up in the pocket. That tells me he's really getting more comfortable there.
He's always aware of where he is on the field. Always.
McNabb with a pump fake. He's got room to run again. Throws instead, end zone, touchdown. The tight end, Chad Lewis.
I guess you could call that aware.
Well, yeah. Not only is he aware of where he is, but he is aware of everyone else. He puts Chad Lewis in a position to catch his ball. Watch him direct Chad Lewis. Watch his left arm. Get over. What a throw.
Chad Lewis just continuing to work. Dexter Jackson really can't stay with him long enough as long as Donovan McNabb buys that much time.
David Akers for the point after. And Donovan McNabb showed you everything he had on that series, leading the Eagles to the go-ahead touchdown. It is the kind of game that Donovan McNabb had a year ago when the Eagles beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here at the Vet. He's doing it again to Tony Dungy's crew. The Eagles are up 10-3. Stecker awaits the kick. Stecker from the 3. And down at the 21.
We've talked about a lot of different elements with Donovan McNabb. The line of scrimmage is about the 16-yard line. You see where that line is. Watch as he scrambles. You're going to get a chance to see where he scrambles to. Right there. That's how close he is to the line of scrimmage. Remember, the ball can't be across the line of scrimmage. His body could be for it to be a legal play. But that's quarterback awareness.
Now a challenge for Tampa Bay's offense as they start from the 21. Alstott dancing, then rumbling. Alstott to the 37. Is he something else?
Well, again, when you watch Mike Alstott, just you keep your eyes on his shoulders. Now, none of these guys really want to hit him, especially the defensive backs in downfield. But watch him. Look at his shoulders. Now, he's going to slide to his right, but his shoulders are square. Here he comes back up. He's not unloading it and loading again. He's always loaded.
Damian Moore was not in a hurry to jump in there and try and tackle him either.
Johnson rifles this one down the middle to Keyshawn Johnson into Eagle territory. His favorite receiver who nabbed 106 catches this year for 1,266 yards.
If you're able to run play action, it gives the linebackers an opportunity to have to step up, which allows Keyshawn to get to that second level. Good protection, and we know that Brad Johnson can perform.
The third most accurate passer of all time. Alstott pushes the pile down to the 41. Alstott causes obvious problems for defenses, and even a Pro Bowler like Troy Vincent has his reservations about taking him on.
I don't like playing against Mike Alstott. Love watching him on tape, but he's a throwback. And watching tape on him and just seeing him when he goes north and south, I mean, he drops those shoulders on you. I mean, he's a big guy. One guy that I really don't want to see.
I love it when he said, I'm going to tell you one thing about Alstott. I don't know what kind of shoes he's wearing because I'm going to walk up after he gets tackled and look at him.
Johnson to throw out in the flat. Yoder, the backup tight end. He should have enough for a first down. If the Eagle 37er yard cooked with the tackle.
Well, you know, Troy Vincent's going to be covering Keyshawn Johnson. He said when there's running plays, he said, Keyshawn, just keep running downfield like it's pass play. Especially if they give the ball, you know, to Mike Alstott. He said, I'll just cover you. You just keep going downfield and make it look like a pass play.
It's not just that Alstott is 250 pounds. He runs so hard, and he dishes out the punishment at the end of a tackle.
Here they come.
Alstott hitting the backfield this time, breaks the first tackle, but comes back shy of the line of scrimmage.
And I'm telling you, this is the only way to stop him is you get by Brandon Whiting, number 98. Watch the penetration. See the penetration in the backfield? When they knock him back down, get him going left and right with his shoulders turned, he has no power.
But also, Paul, Brandon Whiting had a shot at him, couldn't bring him down. They really have to get 4 and 5 guys around him to get him to the ground.
Well, nobody's got arms long enough to get around a guy.
Alstott and Dunn are in there together on 2nd and 11. Johnson wants the screen to Alstott. And Alstott breaks a couple of tackles and is down near the 30. And there's a flag down at the end of the play. Emmons and Dawkins on the tackle.
Looks like a rodeo.
I think this one's going to go against the Eagles.
Let's get on Alstott's back and ride him.
It's a face mask. Now the question is, did you turn his head to bring him down? Is it 15 yards or is it 5? Mike coming through. There's the face mask. There's the head being turned. I think it's going to be 15. Absolutely.
15-yard penalty. Personal foul, half the distance to the goal. First down.
Andy Reid. Not happy. Well, those are the kind of mistakes that upset a coach. You miss a tackle, live with that. You blow an assignment, live with that. But grabbing face masks, jumping off sides, the Eagles have made too many mistakes early in this game.
Let me ask quick.
What?
You ever tackled Alstott?
No.
Did you ever tackle anybody as big as Alstott?
Well, there's been some defensive backs that have intercepted some of my passes. Yeah.
Harvey Martin is a defensive lineman too.
Alstott. And thrown back across the 15.
There's something you won't see very often.
Corey Simon at 293 Said, don't come in here.
Watch this. All-star. Watch his feet leave the ground after he gets hit. Bang. Here it comes. Hello. Whoops.
One of the places you don't need to worry about looking for Keyshawn Johnson is in the red zone. He has, of all the passes that he has caught, 106 of them, only 3 have gone to him in the red zone. If they do go to him, it will be definitely a trend breaker.
Allstott. Very conservative play call, gets down to the 10. The Bucs have not scored a touchdown in 2 straight playoff games. And they obviously have to get more points than that to get back in this one.
They're using the Allstott to try to wear out the defensive line and linebackers and backs.
They also have not had a lot of success when they've been down by 6 points or less, or more.
7:09 and counting, first half. Dunn comes into the backfield. Allstott goes to the slot.
Dave Moore, their tight end, 83, is the guy you have to be aware of.
Brad Johnson dumps it to Warrick Dunn, and he doesn't have a chance. Bobby Taylor waiting for it in the flat.
Boy, I'll take that as outstanding play by a corner. Because when you have Warrick Dunn out in space where he can make some moves, obviously on this play he couldn't make a move. Watch how fast Taylor gets there. The ball is caught, and all Dunn could do was duck.
That's an excellent design, too, to have a corner out there instead of a linebacker.
And it's the 3rd time they've tried to get Dunn out in space, and every time the Eagles have had somebody right in his face.
Gramatica, who has already hit from 36, will try from 32. Tampa Bay cuts the lead to 4, a pair of Gramatica field goals. But the Eagles defense has done its job. They've kept the Bucs out of the end zone. ABC's Wild Card Saturday is brought to you by Original Coors. Nothing beats an original. FedEx, Ground, International, Online, or Express. Don't worry, there's FedEx for that. And Charles Schwab, expert advice that's objective, uncomplicated, and not driven by commission. What is Philly without a cheesesteak? This is Jim's on South Street, where I fulfilled my New Year's resolution of gaining 10 pounds in the first 2 weeks.
And they're not fattening.
Gramatica to kick. Mitchell is deep with Damian Douglas. Low long drive kick grabbed by one of the upmen. And it's Brandon Whiting. Check it, Darwin Walker, who gets the return. Got a timeout in Philadelphia. It's 10-6. Philadelphia with 6:05 to go first half, a 4-point lead on Tampa Bay.
If I had one of those outfits on, I'd look like a pear.
I'm not
if you had one of those outfits on, I'd be out of here.
Yeah, me too. You'd be working alone.
McNabb. Flush throws on the run, incomplete. Let's go to Susie. Susie, John Lynch had some interesting things to say, didn't he?
Well, we know how much this team relies on the defense, and the defense struggled earlier in the season, too. He pointed out the major adjustments they had to make. Perhaps the biggest impact, the loss of Lovie Smith, linebackers coach, and Herm Edwards, the secondary coach. Herm was the guy who offered the stern hand, not necessarily Tony Dungy's strength. He was the guy who walked around with a stick in his hand, taught the guys how to be NFL players, and we know how successful those two have been around the league this season.
Got to be happy for both of those guys, the turnarounds they've engineered. And now McNabb, who had to use a timeout early, burns his second one. Trying to get the play in from the sideline, unable to do it. Back after this.
Hello, this is Donovan McNabb for the Philadelphia Eagles. We fought all year to make it to the playoffs, but we want to thank our military personnel for fighting every day to protect our freedom.
Thank you, Donovan. And these are some of the pilots and crew from the helicopter flyover before our game started. Nice to have you with us, guys.
Hey, hey.
Symbol of the Liberty Bell atop Veterans Stadium. 2nd and 10 for the Eagles. Staley on a little inside handoff and bounces to the 40.
Tampa Bay will be able to control Philadelphia's running game with their front four. I do not believe that they can provide enough pressure on Donovan McNabb to control his scrambling. I think Monty Kiffin, their defensive coordinator, is going to have to get John Lynch up in the box a little bit closer and let him be the guy who can put pressure on McNabb if he moves around.
They show blitz. McNabb changing the play. They cover the blitz and Deuce Staley with room to run to midfield.
Man, was this a good call, and this was also changed at the line of scrimmage. I mean, Donovan McNabb, he sees the blitz coming to his left, and that's Derek Brooks, 55. He sees it, he reads it, and then he checks off to Deuce Staley going the other way, to their right.
There's the blitz. You see it coming there. Now he goes behind John Runyon. John Runyon, Jermaine Mayberry run about 325 each. Just a few pounds moving out on that side.
Nice block by Mayberry to keep Warren Sapp away from the tackle. Buckhalter will try the outside. Nothing there.
You know, Warren Sapp has to talk to everybody. He just talked to the bench. He said, you know, they're holding me. I want you tell the Philadelphia people, they're holding me.
2nd and 9. Buckhalter. Dexter Jackson came up and gave him a shot after Rondé Barber had made initial contact.
You know, when we talk about Warren Sapp and his ability to get to the quarterback, or at least try to, sometimes you just get away from looking at running backs and decide, I'm going to go get the quarterback. This is my main job. Watch Warren Sapp. He takes himself out of the play. Warren Sapp goes by Buckhalter, and Buckhalter gets the ball downfield.
Isn't that supposed to be where that other guy's supposed to be filling for you?
What other guy?
You know, the safeties, the linebackers, those other guys.
Big play here for the Bucs. McNabb throwing on time to Pinkston, but broken up by Kelly. Outstanding defense from Kelly at the corner.
You know, you were mentioning this the other day in the meeting about Kelly. You know, everybody talks about Rondé Barber, everybody else on the defense and Lynch, but no one talks about this young man, Brian Kelly.
Big physical guys, 5'11", almost 200 pounds. Got the job away from Donnie Abraham, who had 6 interceptions through the course of this year, so you know he's pretty good.
Landeta to kick to Williams. Bucks jumped. No flag yet. That would have been a first down. Takes a good bounce for the Eagles. They will kill it inside the 5-yard line. It sure looked like Tampa Bay was offside. That would have been a first down for the Eagles.
That play was right in front of where I'm standing, and I'm telling you, that was offsides. The Bucks caught a major break on that one.
And the official on the other side of the field, the linesman right on the line of scrimmage, reached for his flag and didn't take it.
There's the official right there. Oh, that was awful close. Woo. This is where Tampa Bay, because they don't throw the ball down the field, struggles. You have to count on Mike Alstott to pound your way out here. You can bet the Eagles are going to limit a lot of people at the line of scrimmage.
1st and 10 from the 5. Alstott hitting the backfield.
Hugh Douglas.
Douglas just crashed down from that defensive end spot.
We've talked about all the blitzes that this defense has put in. Hugh Douglas right around the corner again on Kenyatta Walker. That's a mismatch. Hugh Douglas and his experience, and Kenyatta Walker, the rookie draft choice #1 pick out of Florida, will be a good football player, but he's getting schooled today.
Johnson short set. floats it out in the flat, and short of Cook, there's a penalty flag down.
This play was blown dead. You couldn't hear anything, but it was blown dead.
Prior to the ball being snapped, we had a false start on number 67. Half the distance to the goal. Still second down.
Our boy
Tough day so far for Kenyatta Walker.
Well, he's just trying to get a little jump on Hugh Douglas. Kenyatta Walker's going, you know what? He didn't look that fast on film. Look at this. He was moving.
He's trying to get outside.
Well, you just see now that they moved out to give him some help. Kenyatta Walker, Randall McDaniel came back out to help.
2:23 to go in the half. Warrick Dunn is in on 2nd and 12. Alstott now the fullback spot. Dunn. He'll lose another half yard. Jeremiah Trotter, the middle linebacker, sliced through.
I think you hand off this ball and then play defense because they've got a very good defense. We're going to give up field position. But you're right. You can't afford to make any kind of mistake here.
Play action by Johnson. And he just throws this one away. Smart play by Brad Johnson to stop the clock. 1:54 to go in the half.
Philadelphia will only have one timeout in this 2-minute drill.
But with their field position that they should get after this punt, may not need much more.
Royals, who got off a low line drive the last time, kicking to the dangerous Brian Mitchell. Short, poor kick. And takes a bounce for the Eagles. It'll be down near the 30-yard line. Let's go to Susie.
Well, Mike, the Eagles D is playing up to form tonight. They gave up the second fewest points this year in the league, an average of 13 points a game, no more than 2 touchdowns in any game this season. Since 1970, there have only been 4 teams that did not allow more than 21 points a game in a single season. In fact, they allowed 24 less in 30 straight. Tonight's the night to get down and dirty, stop the run. That's been their weakness, but they're doing it tonight, Mike.
The problem is, Susie, they've already given up 10 in the way the Eagles defense is playing. Who knows if that might be enough. And a second straight poor kick from Royals. Excellent field position for the Eagles. Plenty of time even with only one timeout left.
I think if you're Andy Reid, you go for it right now. Take a shot.
McNabb with a pump fake and now scrambles. White forces him out of bounds at the 26.
It's really been fun. Look at that.
Well, I was just watching White chasing McNabb. I mean, here's a defensive lineman, and he thinks he's going to get there. So, and it looks like McNabb is going to go back, keep up the field. But watch what he does to White. 94 is White. Now, he's running his little buns off, and he gets over and he gives him that little fake without bounds.
You remember the Rocky movie? They told him to go out in the yard and chase a chicken.
I'll watch that today. What an apropos movie today to be on.
2nd and 5. Bucks come with a blitz. Great protection from the Eagle line. Now McNabb's in trouble and throws it out of bounds. Jamie Duncan close to him but couldn't get there.
Trying to take a shot upfield to Freddie Mitchell. Little pump and go. I really believe that that's the way Tampa Bay is going to have to deal with Donovan McNabb. Bring pressure up. If he's going to flush, let him get flushed to one side. Jamie Duncan trying to put pressure on him. Warren Sapp getting after him.
Did you see John Lynch come flying in there? He ran right into John Wellborn, but he didn't back down for 1 second. I mean, just hell-bent for leather.
He backed up a little bit.
Oh, after he hit him. But he hit him as hard as he could. Quarterback draw. McNabb dives for the first down. Simeon Rice was hanging on to him. McNabb knew exactly where he was and leaped for the 20.
Well, you know, we talked about in the first quarter about the awareness of Donovan McNabb, and he knew exactly how far he had to get the first down. Then watch this lunge. Now here it is. It's a quarterback draw. He's following Deuce Staley, 22 up the middle. Now he's tackled. Watch him just stretch as far as he can to get the first down.
Clock running. The Eagles have but one timeout left. Staley trying to run it outside, has no chance, and I got to wonder about that call.
But knowing that they had the one timeout, running the football probably was worth a shot. But that'll be the last time you'll see anybody but Donovan McNabb run the football in this half.
I was just going to say, the only guy who's had any yardage is Donovan McNabb. There's Rice.
Simeon Rice has been criticized for his inability to be able to stop the run. He said, you know, when I was in Arizona, everybody used to knock me and say I couldn't run. Well, they couldn't stop the run, period. He got the blame for it. Now, all of a sudden, he's got some great guys around him, and nobody talks about his inability to stop the run anymore. It's an area that he wanted to work on, and Monty Kiffin, the defensive coordinator of the Bucs, stated it very simply. When he came here, if he wasn't a better run stopper, he wasn't going to play.
And he actually led the defensive line in tackles this year. There is Monty Kiffin, the brilliant defensive coordinator for this ball club.
I like talking to Simeon Rice when he says, he points up to the ceiling in the room and he says, you know, there's a higher purpose for what I have to do. He's not talking about God. He's talking about where he wants the level of play he wants to get to. He said, I got to get to the top. He said, I'm not even close to being where I want to be as a player.
Third overall pick in the 96 draft. Now it's 2nd and 13.
Chad Lewis, the tight end, becomes a big part of their offense down close.
Four-man rush. McNabb throws it at the feet of Deuce Staley, trying to set up a little screen. Let's get down to Susie.
Mike, Simeon Rice admits that he had a tough time adjusting to a new team, new scheme, 1 sack in the first 7 games. He also said he found way too many egos in the locker room. Little genuine conversation, but he learned that's not how he wants to be. But still, the overriding theme among all these stars was we want to win. Once he adapted and realized every man plays his gap, he could trust everyone, that's when he started to really play his game.
A lot of guys on that defense you can trust. 3rd and long, little swing pass. Staley with blockers in front. Deuce Staley, touchdown.
There's a flag on the play, and it's against Philadelphia.
Holy cow. A little swing screen for 23 yards and a touchdown, but it comes back.
Well, Staley had 2 guys, 2 offensive linemen out in front of him. Fraley was one.
Looks like personal foul.
Referee's now talking it over. They have already called back the touchdown.
You see what Andy Reid is doing now? He has the communication to Donovan McNabb.
Personal foul, number 76 of the offensive team for unnecessary roughness after the offensive team had already scored. The touchdown is good. The penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
So the touchdown counts. Wellborn called for the personal foul after the play.
First of all, here's the touchdown. And just take a look at this. Look at the blocking downfield. Now, that's excellent blocking. That's Fraley, the center, that's out in front. Now, the touchdown had already been scored.
And Dexter Jackson, instead of wrapping him up, just tried to throw a shoulder into him. And they couldn't stop Staley.
Hank Fraley out of Robert Morris College. Doing an excellent job at center for the Eagles.
Why not? He was coached by Joe Walton. Akers for the point after.
Right in the middle of your screen, number 99 and number 76. There they are. There's the kick. There's the pull. And there's the penalty.
The kick's no good.
Now remember, last week in that quote-unquote game that meant nothing, the only member of the starting offensive line that played that game was John Wellborn. He's seen enough of Warren Sapp.
Coming up on the Lexus Halftime Show, Chris Berman and Steve Young from our New York studio will report on the Jets-Oakland game in the AFC that follows us, and a look at this year's NFC Pro Bowl starters as well.
You know, Hugh Douglas was talking about last year when they were in the playoffs, Joey, that their team let other teams get to them. They let them rag on them, say, okay, get in their face, and these guys started to get back, and they forgot they were playing a football game. So what they decided in this ball game, and I said there was a quiet confidence about this football team. They were not going to get into the verbal jazz with Tampa, just play their football game. But that time, I mean, you talk about a kick.
That wasn't verbal.
No, Wilburn, that's a kick, and that's. I'm surprised that he's still in the ball game.
So am I.
No, he missed. Maybe that has something to do with it.
Well, if he hadn't missed, Warren Sapp might not be in the ball game. Let's see if this penalty will have any effect. It pushes them all the way back to the 15-yard line to kick off, and the Bucs still have 35 seconds on the first half clock. Stecker moves all the way up to his 15.
Bucs can get some good field position and at least get a shot at 3. All their timeouts.
Akers, another low line drive. Stecker has to wait for it at the 18. And can only manage to get back to the 38. Let's check in with Susie.
Mike, the scoreboard, not good news for Tampa Bay. We all know about buck ball, but the drawback of relying on defense in the running game, they are not built to come from behind. They've lost every game over the last 2 seasons in which they've fallen behind by 6 or more. They are 0-11 in those games. So, Mike, just another haunting stat they're going to have to overcome tonight.
Well, they avoided the 40 degrees at kickoff, but that statistic much more critical for this ball club. The fact that they are not built to come from behind, that this is a very elementary passing game to do it with. 3-man rush. Johnson dumps it to Warrick Dunn. Can't get out of bounds, makes the 41. And a timeout for Tampa Bay.
One of the things that Tampa Bay did not want to do, and they don't want to do, and I know it hurt him last year, is when you take Dunn and Allstott out of the game, out of the running part of the game, you take the majority of their offense. Their offense is based on running the football with those 2 guys. When you get behind, as far as they got behind, again, they have a tough time throwing the ball.
Keyshawn Johnson was supposed to be the answer at wide receiver, but he has not gotten a lot of yardage downfield after catches. Allstott, 29 yards. Dunn, only 5 carries for 5 yards so far in this game. .23 seconds left. Bucs with 2 timeouts remain. The Eagles show blitz and come with it. The pass behind Jaquez Green.
And the one thing about this Philadelphia defense, Joe, the speed of their linebackers and their good defensive backs, you really can't dink and dunk against these guys. I mean, when you talk about dinking and dunking passes, little short passes, 5 passes so far have been to running backs, 2 to tight ends, and that's just the second pass thrown to a wide receiver.
The first one was caught by Keyshawn.
3rd and 6. The Bucs trying to keep this drive alive. Johnson with plenty of time to Keyshawn down the middle. Keyshawn Johnson breaks a tackle inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. How did he get that wide open?
He may not be fast, but he has an ability to work the middle of the football field like another great Hall of Famer to be, Chris Carter. Brad Johnson gets plenty of time, and this just gets lofted over the linebackers and beneath the defensive backs. There you see the semi-press by Al Harris. He cuts him loose. The linebackers just aren't deep enough in their drop. And then look at him work the ball. He did a good job of protecting the ball on that running play. He has 1 reception over 40 yards. That was against the Bears at a very critical moment in that game and fumbled it.
As their backup kicker, but he has been deactivated. It doesn't look like Gramatica could kick anything right now.
Well, he slipped over there trying to kick some balls practicing.
Johnson to throw. Allstott. got out of bounds. Stop the clock with 2 seconds to go. Coming up at halftime, we'll be announcing the NFC Pro Bowl starters for you on our halftime show with Chris Berman and Steve Young.
You can see the two of them talking now.
2 seconds remaining in the first half. Tampa Bay trying to get back to within 8.
Of course, Martin missed the last two, three games of the season because of a hamstring problem.
Well, he hurt his ankle over there, and the guys on the bench said, hey, get out there. Let me tell you, this is a playoff game. Get out there.
He recovered a little faster than his brother did, didn't he?
Well, I'll tell you how fast you recover when they threaten you.
Grammatical will try this from 27. He's hit from 36 and 32. Knocks it through. And the Bucs close to within 8 on the final play of the first half. Now let's... All right. Back at the Vet in Philadelphia for Wild Card Saturday, the Bucs and the Eagles. And the Eagles win the first half 17-9. Welcome back, everybody. Glad you could join us on an early Saturday afternoon, working into Saturday night for the Bucs and the Eagles. It's exactly what you guys said to expect in this ballgame. A lot of defense and Donovan McNabb making big plays.
Well, 2 big plays by Philadelphia on offense. McNabb and in the screen to Deuce Staley, and then the one by Keyshawn Johnson ended up in the field goal. That's it for offense.
But for the Bucs, that field goal at the end of the half was huge. It's a big difference going in down by 11, down by 8. They can stay with their game plan a little bit more. They can continue to try and run the football to try and hold off this Eagle defense a little bit longer, because if they have to start to throw, they don't have the wide receivers to get it done.
Eagles to kick to start the second half. Aaron Stecker from the 5. Has the outside. Stecker dragged down at the 38-yard line. First half numbers from the Vet, and the Eagles with the advantage in total yards, 190 to 128. The margin comes in rushing, 93 to only 34 for Tampa Bay. The leaders, Brad Johnson, incredibly accurate as always for 101 yards. Warrick Dunn, only 5 yards rushing. Keyshawn Johnson, courtesy of that late big play, has 63 yards on 2 catches. Cook and Alstott are the backs. Alstott. He's drilled by Brandon Whiting. Let's go to Susie.
Well, Mike, coaches are never satisfied. Despite the lead, Andy Reid said he didn't like the fact that Mike Alstott broke a couple on them. Even though the Eagles are up, he's still concerned about that Bucs passing game. You saw Johnson to Johnson just before the half. I asked him if he really wants to get their running game going. He said no, he's more concerned if they keep mixing it up. He said we need to put more points on the board.
All right, Susie, thanks. The Bucs from the 38. 2nd and 9. Empty backfield for Johnson. Blitz coming. Unloads for Dunn, and it will be intercepted by Damon Moore.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Damon Moore just played center field. They had the blitz on. When you empty that backfield, I love the call. I love the fact that you have an empty backfield and there's nobody back there to protect the quarterback. Go ahead, send some people. Here they come. Trotter's there.
Carlos Emmons is the outside rusher. There they are. They jump in the air, and Brad Johnson just hangs this one up. And of course, if Damian Moore wasn't hanging in the middle, it might have been a good play. As it turns out, it looks like a mirror of the first half when Donovan McNabb threw the interception early. Now, can the Bucs defense step up and make a play?
Staley is the tailback, McNabb to throw. Wide open, Lewis. Chad Lewis inside the Tampa 30.
I'm going to tell you something. Joe said something in the first half, and it's absolutely true. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't start bringing the linebacker and or safety and or corner, they're not going to get to McNabb. But when he steps up, look at this throw. Lewis is wide open in the middle of the field.
Tampa Bay likes to play a cover two. Corners up, safeties back, covering the halves. The middle of the football field is where Donovan McNabb is going to find Chad Lewis.
Gain of 33 for Lewis. He's caught 4 for 60 yards. Buckhalter. Excellent play by Shelton Quarles, dragged him down behind the line of scrimmage. The Eagle leaders, as you might expect, Donovan McNabb at the forefront. 104 yards on 7 out of 14. Staley only 20 yards. Lewis 27 in the first half, but added a 33-yarder to that here early in the third quarter.
But I don't think there's either one of these football teams are going to be able to run the ball wide. If you're going to run the ball at all, if you are, it's got to be between the tackles.
McNabb changes the play. 4-man rush. Staley trying to get outside Lynch. Flying up from outside, sapped from inside.
That was a really nice job by Simeon Rice. He's not going to get credit for a tackle. He's not even going to get an assist. But because he occupies the proper zone, watch this. He comes up, now he goes back inside of Lewis, which forces Buckhalter outside and allows Lynch to make the tackle. That's what it talks about when you say play in the defense.
Last 3 Eagle runs have all been stopped in the backfield. Now 3rd and long, Bucks show blitz. They back out of it, rush only 3. McNabb under pressure. Buying more time. Trying to get away from White, and White pushed him out of bounds. Excellent job by Steve White against the much quicker quarterback.
Well, Donovan McNabb again. I mean, talk about awareness on the field, but he also was aware of defense. He knew that there was only a 3-man rush. He knew that he had plenty of time to move himself around in the pocket. Unfortunately, he couldn't get anybody open.
It was a brilliant defensive stand by Tampa Bay because it takes the Eagles out of field goal territory.
Now, here's what I'm talking about McNabb. Now, watch him. He knows there's only a 3-man rush. So he can buy all the time he wants. For White, I mean, he just does an outstanding job. Steve White does a great job.
In other ball games, Andy Reid might consider trying a 53, 54-yard field goal. Not when your defense is doing what they're doing. He's going to punt this back and try and back the Bucks up.
Landetta. High and short. Fair catch made at the 15. Barely by Stecker. 21-yard, or Carl Williams check it. Tampa Bay takes over at the 15. The turnover didn't hurt them. Coming up next, Wild Card Saturday continues on ABC. Curtis Martin and the Jets for round 2 against Oakland. This time, Rich Gannon, Jerry Rice and company trying to send the Jets away with a loss. The playoffs, game 2, next right here on ABC. Mike Alstott thunders out to the 19-yard line. Last week, the Jets came away from Oakland with an enormous win on the strength of special teams. They beat the Raiders for the first time in Oakland since '62 to advance to the playoffs. John Hall with a clutch 53-yarder with less than a minute to go gave New York a 24-22 win. Moore and Yoder in a double tight end set. Alstott tries to get outside, no luck. Boy, Rashard Cook, the safety, just came up and wouldn't let him go.
But that's a nice job by the interior guys. Paul Grassmanis, Corey Simon, Jeremiah Trotter. Watch the inside. Nowhere to run. Nowhere to go. Hugh Douglas, force him to the outside.
Watch what happens to him, Alstott, when he gets his shoulders turned. See his shoulders turn? When they're turned sideways, he really has no power and absolutely no place to go.
3rd and 8. Johnson with a pump fake, pumps again, throws incomplete. They had Keyshawn underneath, but Bobby Taylor was with him stride for stride.
And that's gotten a little personal because Keyshawn Johnson in an article talked about the secondary of the Philadelphia Eagles, and he basically said, hey, they're really good. He said if they do have a weak link, it could be Bobby Taylor. And I can tell you, Bobby Taylor has played not like any weak link. He is not the weakest link.
Royals to kick to Mitchell. The Eagles winning the battle of field position, as well as the one on the scoreboard. And that'll be down by the Bucs. Mitchell never had a chance to get his hands on it. 45-yard kick, and Dwight Smith downfield with an excellent play on special teams. The Eagles defense carrying the day so far. Alstott, Dunn, and Johnson have been held to 3 field goals. Philadelphia, the birthplace of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776. The Constitutional Convention took place in 1787, where they wrote the U.S. Constitution, also known as the city of brotherly love, unless there's a football game or a hockey game or a baseball game or an Easter egg hunt.
The Rangers found out today that the Flyers are not very hospitable.
It gets a little nasty when there's competition. McNabb straight back, takes off. Now throws it just off the fingertips of Thrash.
There's a name we haven't even mentioned tonight. Thrash.
Joe, I actually think Donovan McNabb is more dangerous as a runner outside the pocket than he is a passer. His percentage outside the pocket isn't very good.
I agree, but what happens when you get outside the pocket, for him, it's like throwing deep balls. You look at teams that throw 6 deep balls. If they only hit 2, that's fine. So the percentage isn't very high. But out of the pocket, he's got just as many touchdowns as he has in the pocket.
Straight back to throw, dumps this one to Buckhalter. Buckhalter fights his way to the 48. Let's go to Susie. She has a special guest.
Well, Mike, just across the street today, an NHL battle of the top 2 teams in the Atlantic Division. Jeremy Roenick, center for the Flyers on the winning end. 4-2 over the Rangers. So did Eric Lindros make it through the game?
It was unbelievable. I am emotionally, physically, and now I can't even hear myself talking here. It's been an exciting game. An exciting day in Philadelphia, and it was a big return for Eric Lindros, and the fans really showed what they thought of him today. It was good and bad all the way around.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Right.
You two went across the street looking for the doubleheader here in Philly.
Thanks, Susie.
Thrash on the toss on 3rd and 2. He needed to reach midfield and maybe just shy, watching the official across the way.
See, I love that call by Andy Reid. And the reason why is there are key players that you have to keep involved in the game. And we saw Keyshawn Johnson go through the whole first half, hardly touch the ball. Guys have a tendency to fall asleep. In this case, you put James Thrash in the backfield, and he's a threat to come out of there and catch the football, but also an excellent runner. So you find ways for your stars to get their hands on the ball.
I would throw if this isn't a first down, I would throw the flag out there and have him mark this ball again, because Thrash was across the 50-yard line, and this ball is not even near it.
Did he make it? There you go. Second chance, Paul.
No. Yes, he did. But I'm telling you, if you look at that
covered them
play,
all there, didn't you?
But if you look at the play where the ball is, I know it's where your knees are down where the ball is, but Thrash was actually across the 50. It makes no difference now.
But I like that. You answered yourself.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yes, no, maybe.
You think they made it? Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No.
No, not really.
No.
It is a first down.
Staley and Martin are the backs. McNabb to a wide open Thrash to the 29.
You know what? It's not amazing, but a little bit when you think about it, what play action does to Tampa Bay. When Donovan McNabb runs a play action pass, that defensive line is almost frozen. Look at the guys in white. They're right at the line of scrimmage. Look at the time McNabb has to throw the ball to Thrash. In the perfect throw.
And also what it does, when you run play action, it does not allow the linebackers to get out underneath any outside routes. So Thrash has the opportunity to work against Kelly just one-on-one.
Donovan McNabb has thrown for 166 yards and 2 scores in this game. Comes out firing here. Thrash, who had a breakout year with the Redskins last year and came over as a free agent. He has really made a difference, hasn't he, Susie?
Oh, he certainly has. 833 receiving yards. The only other player who switched teams as a free agent in the offseason to have that many receiving yards, Jerry Rice. He never expected to have this kind of an impact here with the Eagles. As soon as he showed up, though, Andy Reid said, "You are our starter." John Lynch, who roomed with Brad Johnson on the road, said Johnson thinks so highly of him. He lobbied to have him on Tampa Bay. You cannot underestimate him and his big play potential.
They would love to have him and his speed. Here's Buckhalter. Straight up the middle. Buckhalter, touchdown! And the Eagles, who did not score a rushing touchdown in their last 8 games of the regular season, get one when it matters most.
Good, solid running. That's what you get out of a Nebraska back. Break a tackle. Get it in the end zone.
Well, the other thing, too, as we talked about earlier, the only place to run, if you're going to run, is between the tackles. Warren Sapp is spent. Warren Sapp is so disappointed because they've been playing pretty well up until that run.
Warren Sapp said in the preseason, if I don't get a championship out of this one, I'll quit and go home. He said he was still alive as of last week, but right now the Bucs are in a huge hole, down 24-9. It took the Eagles only 2:30 to go 60 yards for the touchdown. Buckhalter got it on a 25-yard run. The Eagles have some breathing room, and the Bucs are in a terrible situation, down 24-9. Frank Murphy deep to return for Tampa Bay. Turns the corner. Akers to kicker. Throws a body block and takes him down at the 41. And then woofs at him.
Hey, you're a Pro Bowler. Why not?
Little emotion from the kickers. The Liberty Bell is Philadelphia's top tourist attraction. The Eagles may be second. Allstott out in the flat from Johnson to the 47.
I'm going to take you back to the old TD here. What happens, very simple. That's Singleton, the linebacker. They're going to run a reverse. He's going to get caught outside, and you're going to see Buckhalter go right up inside, and John Lynch will not get over to make the tackle. He's fooled by the reverse. There goes Buckhalter up inside. Here's the hard running. Fights his way into the end zone.
It's a well-designed play.
Tampa Bay doesn't seem to have any.
If they haven't shown them to us yet. Johnson short set, and this is a completion to Milton Wynn, who had 4 catches a week ago in that meaningless first meeting. It's all up to Brad Johnson now, Joe.
It is. Actually, you'd say that, but the truth of the matter is it's going to be up to his offensive line, because they're the ones that are going to have to create the throwing lanes to give him the opportunities. Brad's capable of doing it, but will they be able to protect him against this pressure defense?
Done. For only about a yard. Mike Caldwell hustling to make the tackle. The other thing about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is they don't have anyone really to complement Keyshawn Johnson. They still don't have anyone who can stretch the field that's reliable for them.
I think that they're very limited in the passing game, and that's the problem. They have no one. If the Eagles decide to press the wide receivers outside with Jacquez Green or Milton Wynn or Riddell Anthony, they are not physical enough to get away. Key is the only guy that can do that.
Blitz coming. They pick it up, and Johnson dumps it to Warwick Dunn, who dropped it. The way this team has been built, defense and rushing, the pass offense has always been very low in the league. Look at 2001, though. Brad Johnson's addition gets them to the middle of the pack, and really they felt that's all they needed to win.
But that's Brad Johnson's addition. It's not the addition of anyone else. I mean, Keyshawn is here and he catches 106 passes, but only one touchdown.
One thing to remember, guys, they've had 3 different offensive coordinators in the last 3 years. No continuity on offense at all.
3rd and 9, another blitz coming. Jaquez Green, a strike from Brad Johnson, who hung in against the blitz, and Green has his first catch of the night.
The first thing that the players of Philadelphia told us about Brad Johnson, the one thing about him is he'll stand in there and he'll take a lick. He'll stay. He didn't get hit here, but he'll stay as long as he possibly has to before he throws the football to make sure that he gets a completion.
Green, only 5'10", 175 pounds.
If they're going to get back in the game, it's plays like that that the Bucs are going to have to make.
Johnson again goes deep this time. Intercepted. Troy Vincent.
Oh, man. I'm going to tell you what Troy Vincent does is he traps Brad Johnson. He comes up and makes it look like he's coming short to let Jaquez Green get by him, and then Troy Vincent closes. Well, I mean, take a look at this timing. It's absolutely perfect.
Troy Vincent told us yesterday, the only way you can make plays in one-on-one coverage is keeping an eye on the quarterback. That time he did it all the way down the field, and look at him follow the ball in. That's where the receiver's supposed to be, on the outside.
Troy Vincent, who will be going to his 3rd straight Pro Bowl with 37 career interceptions in the regular season. That one was huge.
Brad Johnson actually threw a very good pass. Troy Vincent had perfect position.
Buckhalter, the running back. McNabb dumps it off to Buckhalter, and he is pummeled at the 24-yard line by Derek Brooks.
Through the course of the year, there are a couple of things that we've seen Donovan McNabb improve in my estimations. He's able to go out and now keep his feet on the ground. He has a tendency sometimes when he makes throws like that to get up on his toes, and we see the ball go into the ground. He keeps him a lot more flat. He's a lot more level when he releases the football, and he's become a much better pocket passer because of it.
Deuce Staley back in the ball game. Short set to throw to Pinkston, and Pinkston should have a first down before he's driven out by Brian Kelly.
You know what you really, when you think about it, they've only had Philadelphia a few good running plays, and they've been inside and not outside. Yeah, so what do they do so very well? Throw the short pass. Why not? It's open. Donovan McNabb is right on target this evening. So just go ahead and let him throw the short stuff. It's like a run play.
You see the frustration on the faces of the Bucs.
And you just get the feeling if their defense doesn't come up with a big play, maybe even a score, they'll be going home very unhappy. John Lynch with the big hit, but not until Deuce Staley picks up 9.
Well, Jamie Reeder is the fullback in his formation, and he makes an excellent block on the outside. But this is where you have to run the football if you're going to have any success at all against the Tampa Bay team and against Philly if you're going to run. You've got to run the ball between the tackles.
2:44 and counting, 3rd quarter. Buckhalter will come back in along with Reeder. Buckhalter with the carry. Lynch makes the tackle, but it's another first down. Check in with Susie.
Well, Mike, in big games like the one against the Eagles, the Giants a couple weeks ago, when Donovan had to lean his team back, he talked about the confidence you get from that when you finally reach the end zone, it's like a breath of fresh air. And when a quarterback stands in the pocket and takes hits like he did in that game, there is nothing your receivers in the line won't do for you. He has been such a great leader of this team. In that game, he looked in their eyes and said, let's go, and he's doing it again.
They've always said from day one, he's always been very calm in the huddle. Pinkston on the little hitch, and they won't get anything out of that. 1:46 to go third quarter, and down 24-9. You have to start wondering now about the future of Tony Dungy with Tampa Bay. If the press reports out of West Florida are correct, if he loses today, it is a done deal.
Well, if that's the case, it will have been his offenses over the last 3 years that will have betrayed him, and he's tried very hard to find the right combination. Clyde Christensen has been with him all the years he's been in Tampa Bay. He's in charge of it now. But Andy Reid on the other side is doing a great job calling plays for the Eagles.
Press! Couldn't hold it. Donnie Abraham got up. He may have distracted him, but there's a flag down at the Tampa Bay 40. And it will go against the Bucs.
Number 21, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And it is on Abraham, and it's an automatic first down.
Number 21 is Donnie Abraham. Watch it. Here's the grab right there. And you can't do that.
They almost could have called him for a face mask there, I think. Oh, James Thrash really has a clear shot at the ball. Just doesn't focus on it enough.
So you're talking about Tony Dungy? I know one thing. I feel in my heart anyway. If something happens and they get rid of this guy,
it won't be long.
If it's tomorrow, by what? Monday, he'll have a job as a head coach.
I would sure hope so. He's a credit to this league. First down, Eagles. Staley nailed in the backfield. We asked Coach Dungy if the swirl of rumors about his job security have affected him or his team.
Well, you can if you let yourself, but I think our players and our staff and organization has chosen not to do that. It's kind of a soap opera and probably entertaining to some people, but we've been focused on the Eagles, and our deal is to get in the playoffs and win and see if we can win a Super Bowl.
The silence of the Glazer family has been deafening. McNabb underneath for a couple. When your job is rumored to be in the balance repeatedly and the owners don't say a single word, pretty much tells you that.
But what are they going to say? Are they going to come out and give them a vote of confidence if they're thinking about making a change? I mean, it's not fair either way, but they certainly can't say something unless they say, okay, absolutely, he's going to be back. And I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, but they should say, we will address this thing, but they haven't even said that.
No comment, I think was the...
Yeah, no comment means no comment. In the city of brotherly love, the Eagles have shown no affection for the Bucs. They've dominated for 3 quarters. NFC Wildcard Saturday continues after this from your ABC station. Quarters without scoring a touchdown, tying an NFL postseason record set by the 49ers back in the mid-'80s. And if they don't turn it around in a hurry, they're dumped out of the playoffs again. Oh, they have a lot of bad records. Yeah, they do. They have a lot of good records, too.
Yeah, Keyshawn Johnson owns one of the good records.
Blitz coming. McNabb hit as he throws. Nearly picked off as it bounces to the turf. Rondé Barber, who had 10 picks this year to tie for the NFL lead, came flying in on the blitz.
Well, he's a corner, remember, Rondé Barber is, and there's not enough people to block him, and he goes right where he needs to go, right at Donovan McNabb's arm.
Defensively, that's the first time we've mentioned Rondé Barber's name, and John Lynch has been very quiet as well.
Landetta to punt to Carl Williams. Sean tied for 7th in the NFL this year. 43.5 yards a kick. The ageless punter. And a beauty here. But it takes the big bounce and goes into the end zone. It will come out to the 20. Let's go down to Susie. Susie, you had a chance to talk to Malcolm Glazer, didn't you?
Mike, it was a brief conversation. I approached Malcolm Glazer and asked him about the situation. He said he needed to consult with his sons before deciding whether we could even chat about it. Of course, I asked him if we could talk a bit on camera during the game, and he declined. They declined to discuss the situation at all. And I said, of course, we have to discuss it. But they did not want to talk about it at this time. As I said in the pregame, I mean, the players take that as an insult, the silence, as you mentioned as well.
Well, one thing people have to remember, before the Glazers came in and bought the team, before Tony Dungy, this was a ridiculous excuse for an NFL football team. Year in and year out, they were pummeled by everybody they played. Tony Dungy has turned it around.
He has, but here's the problem. He's gotten them to the same level consistently, and they want more. Problem is, personnel doesn't allow them to do that.
Right.
They're very similar in addressing the problems that we've seen on some teams. You get loaded on offense or defense, and the other part gets ignored. The classic case of that are the Indianapolis Colts. Their offense is great. Their defense is a problem. Jim Mora paid the price.
That's where you may see that guy in Indianapolis. And the Bucs have had the ball 3 times this half. 2 interceptions and 1 3 and out.
Well, wherever he ends up, that team's going to be very grateful. Before Tony Dungy, 20 years, 1 10-win season in 2 decades. Since, they've had 3. And his winning percentage, 56.3 as opposed to 30.7. But it all rests in the heart of the owner.
That's right. And nothing we will say will do anything about it. I think what happens if in order for him to keep his job, honestly, I thought about this very hard. I think the Bucs, had to win the Super Bowl. Not just playing it and get there, they had to win it.
Well, back to this game, where we are in this situation is, truthfully, the Bucs aren't out of this if they can start putting the ball down the field, but they can't just be, as you referred to it, Paul, dink and duck throws. They've got to get they're going to have to get 15 yards, 18 yards, take some shots down the field. Even if you got one picked off, so what? You still have to keep trying.
14:47 to go. Alstott and Dunn in there together. Dunn to the 23. Really, the Bucs are within 2 touchdowns if you factor in the possibility of a 2-point conversion.
And I think the Bucs, even though there's 14 minutes left and it's the beginning of the 4th quarter, you still have to move in and out of the huddle. You don't need to go to a no-huddle offense, but you've got to conserve as much time as you can, getting plays in. Let me tell you, it's not going to be very complicated right now, guys.
Go deep and get open.
Blitz coming. Johnson avoids it, gets it to Dunn. Warwick Dunn, first down and out of bounds. There is a flag down back at the 15-yard line as Johnson was running for his life, and it is against the Bucs.
The Eagles bring pressure up the middle.
Holding, offense, number 71. 10-yard penalty, still second down.
They bring pressure.
The right tackle.
They bring pressure up the middle. You see the pressure now. Number 71, Jerry Wunsch winds up grabbing Corey Simon, number 90, and there's your flag. Brad Johnson can move a lot better than people give him credit for.
Yes,
He's not going to run like Donovan McNabb for 30 or 40 yards, but he can move around outside the pocket quite well.
He was an excellent prep basketball player. Went to Florida State to play both football and basketball, so obviously an excellent athlete. Draw play to Dunn. Spins away from a couple of tackles up to the 17.
I'll tell you, Jeremiah Trotter is about as close as you're going to get to being offside. And when you step in that neutral zone like that, if one of the linemen would move, it would be him drawing him offside. Look at 54 Trotter. He is up in the neutral zone. All you have to do is step out as an offensive lineman. You'll get a 5-yard penalty.
All the linebackers, Trotter from Stephen F. Austin, Emmons from Arkansas State, Caldwell from Middle Tennessee State. Great job of scouting to pluck those guys out of small schools. Double pump, Jaquez Green at the sideline, out of bounds.
Brian Dawkins does a nice job this time of using the sidelines to his advantage. Just continue to run Jaquez Green towards the sidelines, make Brad Johnson throw the ball outside. Look at the angle he takes. Now, as a wide receiver, you've got to do everything you can to try and hold the line and give the quarterback a chance to put the football there.
He caught that ball like it was in practice and not in the playoff game. Very unaware of where he was. Royal to Mitchell. Gets a good bounce for Tampa Bay. And down at the 35. 48-yard kick with the roll. It's 24-9. Is this the last call for Tony Dungy? NFL season with the AFC NFC Pro Bowl. You'll see the league's top players live from Aloha Stadium in Honolulu. February 9th, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific on ABC. The Eagles would love to go to work on the clock right now with Buckhalter and Reeder. The backs behind Donovan McNabb. Buckhalter breaks a tackle, picks up 9.
I tell you, when you get your running game going up the middle, there's really one guy. The offensive line is great, but there's one guy that really opens that first hole for you, and that's the fullback. And when a fullback gets a shot on either a safety or a linebacker and opens that hole, that enables the running back to just break it off and get him some room. Watch Reeder, number 34, on Quarles. Bam! He hits him with his right shoulder, turns him out of the hole, and here he comes, Buckhalter up the middle.
First half, the Eagle running backs averaged only 3 yards a carry. This half, 6.2. McNabb pumps, hit from behind, loose ball, the Eagles have it. Simeon Rice with the swat, came from behind and hit him, knocked the ball loose, but the Eagles get it back. And they get a first down out of the recovery.
They wind up with a first down. Now, as Donovan is running, I'm not sure whether this ball is like underhand thrown. Simeon does a nice job, and you can see him sort of flick it forward, but I think Simeon knocks it out. Watch this. Here comes the shot. There it is, just squeezes right out of his hand. Good call by the officials. Simeon's just beating Trey inside.
It's a good thing it wasn't from him because you get a first down.
I know.
It's an incomplete pass.
How's that for a break? You get the sack, the fumble. Not only is it not recovered to run back for a touchdown, you get a first down out of it. Staley gets a couple. Rice, again, who has been very active today, makes another stop.
Simeon said he wanted to use this game as a forum to serve notice that he's a pretty darn good football player, and he is. And this is what he's done. He's done a terrific job stopping the run. And that front four is a very formidable group. Steve White, actually 5 when Steve White and Marcus Jones split. McFarland, Sapp, and Rice. 6 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. He's done his part.
2nd and 9 for the Eagles. Buckhalter knocked down by Brooks. He'll lose a couple.
All Philadelphia is doing, they just got the clock moving. They're not even throwing the little dump passes anymore. They're just running the ball up the middle of the field. They got the clock on. They're inside 10:30. And punt now, and you put them back deep in their territory again. And the offense of Tampa hasn't done a thing.
Right. You know, you continue at midfield. You can play this if you're the Eagles. You're burning 40 seconds off the clock every time. You keep an eye on the 40-second clock. Donovan McNabb's got it right in front of him. He'll snap it with about 5 or 6 seconds to go.
And they've already beaten their season average on the ground. McNabb throws to Pinkston. He was touched shy, it appears, of a first down.
He's going to be 1.5 yards shy, and they're going to punt the ball.
But they worked a couple of minutes off the clock. They've established field position again. And at this point, the clock is their biggest friend.
That guy right there, Andy Reid, I mean, is he funny?
Oh, he's wonderful.
The guy is, I mean, he's an excellent coach, but he's funny. And he knows the personality of his football team, and he lets them play.
One of the keys, he said, in this game was going to be controlling Sapp and Rice in the pass game. That's exactly what they've done.
Andy Reid came in, went 5-11 the first year he took over the franchise, then 11-5 and 11-5. Carl Williams doesn't take the fair catch route and is buried by Buckhalter. The Bucks have 9:19 to go. They need at least 2 touchdowns. We're at the Vet in Philadelphia. Back after this. In Greek, the word Philadelphia means brotherly love.
Really? Hey, that's good. Thank you, Mike.
For all you Greek scholars. Draw play, Warrick Dunn. Hasn't had much room to operate today. Dives forward to the 25, gain of about 9. Damon Moore with a tackle.
Well, you know, there's a lot of guys on this defense have done well for Philadelphia, but Jeremiah Trotter, number 54, watch the concentration. Watch him being in the right place. First of all, they try to go wide with Warrick Dunn. He's there. Now, watch the cutback. He sees it, it cuts back. Trotter, 54, is there. Now, in the next one, he was on a pass rush and forced the interception.
Dunn underneath as the Bucks go with a hurry up. Dunn, that ball came loose after it hit the ground. It'll be a first down.
Warrick Dunn really hasn't been himself since the first game. When he hurt his toe, actually behind the toe, he just can't push off on his right foot. Anything going right, he has no power. He's lost that power to be able to cut. And his strength is in his ability to make people miss in quick cuts.
And his contract is up this year. Warren said last week he hopes he can be back. Allstott was guarded by Caldwell. Carlos Emmons applying the pressure.
Well, you know, if you're going to throw the football, you better keep people in there to protect your quarterback. Because Brad Johnson that time almost got killed.
In truth, when you look at the secondary, the Eagles, Al Harris, Bobby Taylor, and Troy Vincent, Tampa Bay's wide receivers don't match up. They can't beat them. Keyshawn Johnson could work inside on some of them, but basically he's by himself.
Another blitz coming. Johnson runs away from the pressure, throws to Keyshawn. Al Harris with the tackle at the 40. Brad Johnson was hit so often this year and so hard. He said one game he felt literally took a year off his career. He was pummeled.
Well, when you're running for your life all night long, that's Darwin Walker that's chasing him around there. But there's always somebody seems to be free and in his face.
That's the way Jim Johnson draws up the defenses.
Johnson down the middle, and this one is caught by Carl Williams.
When your receiver like Keyshawn Johnson has 106 catches, and the next guy has 36.
Tells you something, doesn't it?
That's not good for an offense. I wouldn't call that balanced in any way.
Bucks trying to hurry up. They need 2 touchdowns. Green inside the Eagle 40.
They will give you all of these.
7-12 and counting. Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann, Paul McGuire, Susie Culver, our entire ESPN crew, or ABC crew. The numbers on Brad Johnson, 10 out of 13 in the first half. Trying to get hot here in the second half after a couple of interceptions. And Grassmanis jumps across. Was he drawn off?
Brad Johnson, Joe, seems to be having taken more time just getting his guys lined up to where they're supposed to be.
That's one of the things in a 2-minute offense that I always try to do is keep the receivers on the same side so you don't waste time moving them.
Neutral zone infraction. 96 defense. Who moved into the neutral zone, causing the offense to false start. 5-yard penalty.
Now, to save some time, all right, you got the clock stopped. To save some time, if I were Tampa Bay, if they don't give them the first down, I'd have them measure it. That'll take, give them some rest in the huddle. I'd make them measure this.
Well, I would too. I totally agree with you, Paul. You can request it when it's this close.
And it would stop the clock.
Blitz coming. Dunn can't get there.
I'll tell you, Bobby Taylor was on the blitz as a corner, and what he did, he distracted Brad Johnson just enough because he hit him in the back. He didn't deflect the pass or anything or catch his arm, but he let him know, watch this, right there, he hits him in the back, and the ball goes right.
And I just don't think that you can run basically one receiver routes with Warrick Dunn as the one guy going downfield against this defense.
3rd and inches, they get the first down. But the Bucs are burning an awful lot of time on this drive.
You know, when you've got to really admire this defense of Philadelphia. They just send people. They don't care. They're coming.
Now, you know, you've got Mike Alstott in the game as well, and it's got to be in from a protection standpoint. Just can't imagine him being the pass receiver going out and making plays.
Another sellout blitz, and Keyshawn was double-teamed. Brad Johnson throws it away. Let's go down to Susie.
There is little doubt that the Eagles are thinking of going all the way. Spending some time with Hugh Douglas this week, he said there is a sense of urgency. He admits last year when they reached the playoffs, it was like, oh, wow. Donovan even used the word overwhelmed. This year, the reaction is get it done. They're on the threshold of something great. Seize that opportunity because you never know, and that opportunity is going to come again.
And Susie, if they hang on to this lead, they would go to Soldier Field to play the Bears. Blitz again. And Hawkins, or Harris and Dawkins are both there to break it up.
Harris and Dawkins make a Hawkins. I thought that was very perceptive, Mike.
And
both come together. Yeah. Ooh. Unfortunately, it's a headache. There it is for Carl Williams. Winds up in the middle of that sandwich.
3rd and 10. Obviously 4-down territory for Tampa Bay. No blitz this time. 4-man rush. Down out in the flat. Flag is down.
They got a holding on Philadelphia.
Illegal hands to the face. Defense number 31.
You're looking at the face. You're looking at the face of Hugh Douglas, and I'll tell you what, he gets there just a little bit late, but he unloads on Brad Johnson. Watch 53. The end of this. Bang!
Right in the chops.
He said he's going to hit him right in the mouth.
Oh boy, and he has taken Kenyatta Walker to school. That time he just pushed him out of the way and went inside. Young man's going to be a good tackler, and he's getting himself a real lesson in this game from one of the best pass rushers in the business.
They had him rated as the number 2 pick in the entire draft behind Michael Vick.
This is a learning experience.
Unfortunately, it's a learning experience for Brad Johnson. Learning how to take hits in the mouth.
Automatic first down after the penalty. Johnson flushed again. And intercepted by Dawkins. Brian Dawkins at the sideline.
You were upset with Jaquez Green running a play and not staying in bounds. Dawkins is a defensive guy. Interception shows you how to stay in bounds.
Now
First out of
will
bounds.
Tampa Bay.
Therefore, the catch is good for the interception. First down, Philadelphia.
And they will not be able to challenge that if it's ruled he was pushed out of bounds. And Dawkins has every right to celebrate. A guy who is one of the best safeties in the National Football League makes the play that could seal his team's fate to go on. The disappointment written on Brad Johnson's face with another interception that gives the ball back to the Philadelphia Eagles. They're already up 24-9. And only 5:21 to go in this game. Andy Reid, after going 5-11, posts back-to-back 11-5 seasons, back-to-back playoffs. The first outright NFC East championship for the Eagles ever.
He talked about last week's game, and the players did too. Going 11-5 was big for this football team. one of the concerns for both of the coaches was the momentum factor. Tampa Bay had played very well going into last week's games. Certainly the Eagles did a terrific job winning the division.
Tony Dungy is on the field, and he calls Larry Nemmers over.
Tampa Bay is going to challenge that the defender did not hold on to the ball after he was forced out. By rule, the defender must hold on to the ball and control it when he's forced out to complete the reception or the interception.
You know what? That is really good thinking on the Bucs coaching staff part. They can't contest the pushed out of bounds ruling, but they could contest this.
But does he have control when he gets out of bounds? Now, when he hits the ground, does the ball come out?
No.
Does he have control?
Does he have control?
But it's worth a challenge.
It is.
I mean, it's you're looking for something right here. There he is. He's down, been pushed out, so it's ruled an interception. Still has possession of the ball.
The ball never hits the ground ever. Ever. What's it? I mean, the ball is always in his hands.
One last reminder, there must be irrefutable evidence.
I don't think the ball's hit the ground yet. He took it with him to the bench.
Yep. Now it's in a box. It'll never hit the ground.
Irrefutable, huh?
Irrefutable.
Can you spell it?
IR-futable.
I tell you, boy, another Notre Dame grad.
Andy Reid on the right, Monty Kiffin, Tony Dungy.
If they lose this challenge, and it appears rather obvious that they will lose a timeout. But this is a stage of the game where it has to be desperate for the Bucs. They're grasping at straws right now.
You know what's amazing, though? It's when you get into playoff mode and the people here, no one's left the stadium. Nobody left. Warren's telling Donovan,
I'll see you. See you down the road. Lots of luck in Chicago. Are you kidding me? Warren is so animated when he talks to you.
After reviewing the play, the defender did catch the ball, was forced out, and kept a hold of the ball all during the catch. Therefore, the ruling on the field stands. The interception was good. Tampa Bay is charged with a timeout. Their first team timeout.
Well, certainly if you're on the Bucs sideline, you have to figure it was worth a shot, but it ends up costing them the timeout. In the playoffs, if you have a +2 turnover advantage, you win 81% of the time. Right now, the Philadelphia Eagles have a +2 turnover margin.
I think they got a chance at winning that.
I think they do, too.
Going out on one of my little limbs.
Well, I'll tell you what, you tread out there lightly too, Carl.
Boy, right up the middle and delivering a blow. Deuce Staley. And look at John Lynch. Lynch is the first guy who's going to congratulate you for a big hit, and he helped Staley up.
The one thing that'll break a back of a defense is when you can run straight at them. Now, we know Tampa Bay has got a great defensive football team. They've had all year, and especially the last half. But what Philadelphia has done in this ball game is they've taken that ball and they've run it down their throat.
And remember, the Eagles have not played well at home this year, only 4-4. They've been road warriors, 7-1 away from home. Staley this time hit in the backfield. Let's check in with Susie Colbert.
Well, a little earlier, you guys were talking about Andy Reid's success. Just 3 years ago, 13 losses, one of the worst teams in the NFL. But a lot of the guys on that team have endured. They're on this team tonight, more than half the current starters. And how about this one? In 1998, Ray Rhodes told Jeremiah Trotter he was the most disappointing rookie on that 3-13 team. Now, consecutive Pro Bowl bursts maybe make him feel a little bit better.
Oh, absolutely, Susie. Led this team in tackles since he became the starting middle linebacker. Third down. Eagles playing it nice and smart and conservative. Just run and work on the clock. 3:49 to go.
Paul, you also talked about the way that hurt a team is run right at them. The Tampa Bay defensive front four in the last couple of games has really controlled the line of scrimmage. They brought a lot of pressure. If you can get pressure out of your front four, that means that you can play zones behind it. And today they weren't able to do that, so they couldn't play zones. They started bringing people up. You get Donovan McNabb out of the pocket, and big plays are results.
Former teammates, Rice and McNabb.
What do you think, Paul? This is your specialty, right?
He didn't make it.
Okay.
Let me go 0 for 8. He didn't make it. There's a finger in there.
Look at Donovan. I'm sorry, but it looks good to me. I think he did.
He didn't make it, man. Hey, these eyes never fail me.
I agree. Right there.
Except twice tonight. What a great guess.
Now, if you're Tampa Bay, special teams means everything. You go for a punt block.
I don't think so. I don't think you go for a punt block, because if you rough them, then a game's over. Not that it isn't at this point, but you still want to try and conserve as much time as you can, put a return on, maybe get some field position.
I'll tell you what, watch how fast Sean Landeta gets this ball out of here. You got an experienced guy back there, and he knows the most important thing he's got to do is touch it, kick it.
Doesn't matter where it goes,
no,
just kick it.
No, just get it out as fast as you can.
Landeta in his 17th NFL season, his 20th as a pro. Carl Williams waits at his own 48.
Just waiting for the clock to run down, using as much clock as they can.
Bang, bang.
And a beautiful kick as well. Williams trying to get to the outside. Can't turn the corner. A loss of 2 on the return after a 46-yard beauty. Donovan McNabb has killed the Buccaneers 2 years in a row in the playoffs. Coming up next, Wild Card Saturday continues on ABC. The Jets going to Oakland for round 2 against the Raiders. The 2002 NFL Playoffs Game 2 next, right here on ABC. We're at the Vet in Philadelphia. The Eagles by 15. Bucks take over at their own 40. Alstott on the little dump off. Stays on his feet, and Alstott across midfield. Guy is so tough. Boy, I love to watch him play.
Brad Johnson being a traffic policeman out there, moving people around, getting them set up.
Alstott again.
Trying to get to the sideline.
Trying to get a block from Dunn.
You know, he's almost better off trying to run straight up the field and resetting, because all the time it's taken him from the middle of the field to try and work to the sidelines, the clock just continues to run.
Tampa Bay with 2 timeouts left. And it's picked off by Damon Moore. Damon Moore will take it to the house.
You can see it coming. You really can see it coming.
That was great awareness. That ball just hung in the air, waiting for Damon Moore to just come pick it and go.
A 59-yard interception return for a touchdown.
This baby just floats on Brad John. Look at that. He's trying to get it to Jaquez Green, and Damon Moore just steps in front, and it's hello, goodbye, see you in Chicago.
When you can't threaten anybody downfield the way they can't, the defense can just cover anybody underneath.
They've tried it twice. I mean, that's an area, whoever coaches this football team, if Tony Dungy is still there, great. But the Bucs need to find some way to get another receiver that can be productive besides Keyshawn Johnson.
And the Bucs have just tied a playoff record. 4 interceptions, their most in a playoff game since Doug Williams. The Eagles have wrapped it up. They'll get ready to go to Chicago. Head coach Tony Dungy may be the head coach only for another 208 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Glazer family up in their suite discussing what has gone wrong today. Frank Murphy on the return. And cut down at the 18-yard line. Coaching staff's pretty well set, isn't it? Snap goes through the hand of Brad Johnson, takes it on the bounce, gets it to Dunn. To the 22, we'll check in with Susan.
And Mike, no one could handle the situation better than Tony Dungy. You rarely see someone so even-keeled. Nothing ever gets to him. He wears the same expression, win or lose. His assistant coaches commented the only time they've really seen him crack was earlier this week. His mother, Cleo May, passed away. But when his kids are acting up, he remains calm. And in light of all the recent reports, they thought for sure this would do it. No, remains even-keeled. He believes life is a lot bigger than the game. If you can't get to him as a man, then you certainly can't rival him as a coach.
Susie, there's an awful lot to like about that guy, and we have admired Tony Dungy for a long, long time, and certainly wish him the best regardless of how it turns out in Tampa Bay. And Warren Sapp said at the beginning of the year that if we don't win it, they just may blow the franchise up. Got a lot of high-profile, big-money guys.
You need to go, you know what you need to do? You need to go find somebody. I'll give you a name, Michael Westbrook, who's a free agent with the Washington Redskins. I think could be a great compliment to Keyshawn Johnson. First of all, Michael has an ego, but it would get lost in the egos on this football team, so he wouldn't have to worry about it. But to me, that would be a big, powerful, strong, down-the-field receiver that they need in this offense. They need to be able to throw the football a whole lot better.
Because certainly Brad Johnson can do that. The last 2 years ago, Washington threw for over 4,000 yards.
You know, and you got to think of it. Brad Johnson had 559 attempts for only 3,300 yards.
Right. Draw play to Dunn. Can't get out of the backfield. Wrapped up by Darwin Walker.
Darwin Walker was one of those guys from last week's game that proved to the coaches that he would be worthy of being up. Jim Johnson and Andy Reid weren't sure that he was going to dress for this game, but he played so well in the first game last week against this football team, they felt they had to bring him up.
Johnson on the screen. Holy smokes. Tim Houck, and if Houck is in a ball game, he's going to hit somebody. That time he smoked Warrick Dunn.
Donovan even covered his ears.
Oh.
Donovan's looking at this. Ooh.
Bucks are trying to get anything going on offense.
I'll tell you, they're just doing the right, smart thing. Run this thing out and get out of here.
The executive producer of ABC Sports is Howard Katz. The director of production, Bob Toms. Today's game produced by Jay Rothman. Directed by Chip Dean. Technical director, Mark Herklitz. Associate producers, Jeff Everett, Andy Reichwald, Previn Martin, Aaron Owens, and Jonathan Lebovich. Associate director, Dick Ellis. Associate to the producers, Brian Yarrow and Doug Malin. Up in the booth, Mark Fredrickson, our statistician, Dave Dare, our spotter, Nancy Volker, our stage manager, Alex Stern from Elias, all the tape and photographers, camera guys, everybody that has worked so hard all year. Thank you so much. It is over in Philadelphia. We'll be back with Susie Colbert right after this.
Welcome back to Veterans Stadium, where the Eagles did it to the Bucks again. Donovan McNabb, 2 touchdowns. I mean, this is a good Bucks defense. Why do you seem to have their number?
We wouldn't say that we had their number. I would say we prepared well throughout the week. I think the week off last week sort of made us a little bit more hungry. And, you know, it's not below 40, so this is a great opportunity for us to just come out and show that we're a better team than what people say, you know, how they play in 40 degree and lesser. But so, I mean, this is an excellent win for us.
Derek Brooks and company were upset after last year's game felt that you were smiling too much. So everybody knows that's what you do. It's kind of tough not to smile with a win like this.
Well, whatever you can do, what motivates you. Good job, baby. Good job. All right, let me know. All right. All right. I mean, whatever we can do. I mean, I have fun out there. If that's something that motivates them, then whatever they have to take. But I just kept smiling today, so maybe they'll be a little bit upset later on as well.
Now, do you smile at Brian Urlacher, the #1 defense in the NFL? You've got the Bears next.
Well, it's going to be a challenge for us, but I'm just happy about the opportunity of going back home and playing at Soldier Field. Things went well for me while I was there playing. Had an opportunity to play at Soldier Field, so my record right now is 2-0 at Soldier Field, so I'm excited about that. But it's a great opportunity for us.
Congratulations. Good luck the rest of the way.
Going back home, baby.
ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Keyword Monday Night Football. Coming up next, NFL Wild Card Saturday continues as the New York Jets battle the Oakland Raiders. Once again, our final score: the Eagles 31, the Bucks 9. For Paul McGuire, Joe Theismann, and Susie Calder, this is Mike Patrick saying so long from the vet in Philadelphia. Now let's join Chris Berman and Steve Young in our New York studio.